Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Fridays with Sandy. I'm John Byrne with Poets and Quants. There's Sandy Kreisberg, who is
Adios, hello, shalom.
of hbsguru.com. And today we have a candidate. You could see him in his scrubs. He's Logan. And Logan in his scrubs is obviously a med school student. He's in his third year of med school. And he is targeting Harvard, Wharton, and possibly MIT Sloan. We might talk him into Stanford. We'll get into that a little bit later. His GPA in pre-med, 3.86 from Brigham Young. He has a GRE of 331, which is nicely above the 326 median at Harvard, which seems to be his target school. And he did his undergrad at Brigham Young University. He did a service mission for 2 years in South Korea. All around, a pretty fascinating candidate, Sandy.
I believe so, and a very well qualified one. I just want to make this clear. What we got here is a guy who wants to get who is going to get an MD degree and is going to get an MBA. But Logan, you're not applying for a quote unquote formal dual degree program, are you? You're just kind of doing them both.
Right. Yeah. Typically a dual degree program is done at the same school that you go to med school at. Right.
Right. So for folks watching this, if you're thinking of going to medical school and getting an MBA, the story you're about to hear is not typical. You should go onto the website of your school and find out how the application occurs and how to get into that joint program. For one thing, if you do a formal joint program, you save yourself a year, I believe, of coursework to get both degrees. So Logan's doing it the hard way and the long way. Eddie's. So what you're going to do is just apply to these schools, okay?
Now, I don't think Logan takes the easy way out anyway, because he also played rugby on his college team, was co-captain, and that team won the national championship.
Yeah, he's an accomplished guy. Well, you got a lot going for you. I think if you can explain the important thing for you to do, since this is a kind of late in your medical school training to apply for an MBA, what happened?
So I'm in my third year, and for a little bit of background, the med school works and it's 4 years long. The first 2 years are very academic, and then third and fourth year you have clinical, like hands-on training. And during third year, I've realized a lot of my interests kind of align with entrepreneurship and basically just business strategy. And I was seeing some.
What does that mean? I mean, yeah, let's give you a hard mock interview here, okay?
Okay.
You discovered your interests align, which is always a suspect word to me.
Okay.
With what?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of parallels, as I found out, between, for example, consulting and medicine. So from what I understand, I'm still very green to the business world, but you come in from the outside, have a fresh perspective. And
let's get back to earth. Tell me how you got interested in getting an MBA.
Oh, I started
here.
Yeah, I started a side business that I really enjoyed, and then I also found a fascination with medical devices specifically.
And you had a friend. People always leave that. Don't you have a friend who's now at HBS? Was that part of the decision?
Oh yeah, I have a friend that's in HBS as well. He was doing the 2+2 program out here, working for Whirlpool in engineering, and he is now out there doing his first year. And I met him. I became friends with him, and found out later on that he was going to go to Harvard.
Yeah, just let me give a general hint here. When people are asked to explain things at interviews, they somehow think you can't mention that you had a friend or a parent. Okay. Sometimes they say to people, sometimes when you apply to medical school, they say, well, what's your interest in medicine? And you omit the fact your father's a doctor. Okay, like that's an okay reason to do something.
Yeah,
like a friend did it, or
yeah, good
parents do it.
Although I have to say, creating a side business and realizing that you don't know a whole lot about finance and accounting and marketing is also a good reason too.
That's a good nominal reason. A lot of people can run it. You don't need an MBA to run a side business.
No.
Talk to Bill Gates. Okay, you got a lot going for you. What are your goals? Where do you see yourself? This is be another interview question. Where do you see yourself in like 10, 15 years?
There's short-term goals and then there's long-term goals. Short-term, I think right out of the gate, I'll have to obviously learn more about business since all I have is woodshop. So I'd want to be a consultant working for like a McKinsey, maybe a Google Health or a Bain, BCG in their healthcare consulting sector.
That's a good answer.
Okay.
Particularly know about their healthcare sectors of those companies. Yeah.
So that would be building my business acumen, kind of my know-how that I don't have obviously right now. And then later on, I would either like to start a biotech device company of my own, or work for one that's already established, or maybe be in the innovation efforts of somebody like a Stryker medical device company.
Do you have a device background? Are you a handy guy, or?
That's where a lot of this started. So I got really interested in medical devices during my surgery rotation, but my first ever research experience was with a vascular surgeon who developed his own innovative devices that he used himself. And since then, I've been kind of interested by the idea.
Good. Okay, that's a good answer. Tell me, Nate, this is something you should be able to do, both you and everyone. Identify someone whose job you would like in 15 years.
15 might be a stretch, but I could see like a Natul Gawande, which I think is also good because he's a Harvard faculty member, so that works. But he was an MPH. He was a CEO of the recent healthcare, I guess, company. It was an innovative company that was headed by Amazon and JP Morgan to kind of attack healthcare reform. I'd like to be an administrative.
Okay, in case our folks missed that, we're talking about? Hey, John, spell it. Mr. Gawande, he's famous. Isn't he on CNN all the time?
Gawande. Manifesto, Better. He wrote Good Hands. No, never mind. Good Hands was Ben Carson, but.
I know who you mean. Yeah, I know who you mean. He's a very he writes exceptionally well.
Right.
And he writes things that are that draw really interesting insights and parallels that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, but he's a great guy. He's a public intellectual.
Yeah.
That's not what you want to be, Logan, is it?
Right. He's one example. Another one would be Pim Kolf, who was the father of artificial organs. He actually was a friend of my grandmother's, interestingly enough, but he was a physician from the Netherlands that had a business background, and he developed kidney dialysis. The Jarvik artificial heart was his project that he spearheaded, and he was able to bring this to the world. So
yeah, that's a good answer.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, well, he's a good guy. It's a good answer because it aligns with several of your interests.
Yeah.
Good. Tell us about this. Yeah.
Why don't we, we always have, we should just tell everyone, a videotaped conversation with every applicant. And during our conversation, we both concluded that Logan should apply in round 3 to Stanford. Can we get into why we think that?
Yes. Could you tell us about, here's why Logan should apply to Stanford. First of all, he's in the ballpark in terms of pedigree, and he's had an amazing experience with something called the Luke Commission, L-U-K-E. Could you tell us what that is?
Right. Yeah. So it is. It's a global health organization stationed in the Kingdom of Eswatini. That's in Swaziland in southern or sub-Saharan Africa. And what we did was spend a summer there as a health volunteer, basically being a physician in training, diagnosing illnesses and packing up mobile hospitals into these vans and driving out to distant villages and serving the rural Swazi populations, giving free healthcare, surgery, pharmacy, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, the two people like that story very much. The first person is God, and the second person is the Stanford admissions committee.
I'll take both of those. That's good.
And
Well,
the 2 years
Stanford Stanford admissions
Korea,
committee is a little more powerful. So,
and the 2 years in South Korea kind of cement.
and the 2 years in South Korea, yeah, that's a real Stanford stuff. And then, you know their essay, "What Matters Most to You and Why."
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, what off the top of your head, what would you think about there?
I don't know if I have one word, but it'd be something about fulfilling my purpose in life.
Yeah, that's a good
Basically,
start.
I have one
And
life to
that's
live.
an excellent start. But then, what are your purposes?
Well, I feel like I've been given a lot. I've been given a lot of great opportunities, and I only have one life to try to do as much good as I possibly can. So that's part of the reason why I want to get an MBA. It kind of like gives me a better platform to like make companies that do a lot of good in the world.
Yeah, you could bring it down to earth a little more. What matters most to me is, using my medical training, my skills developed there to have a real impact in healthcare delivery. And then you just spin off each of those elements and talk about influences and impacts. That's a good way to write a Stanford essay. Okay. And then you talk about a very important event to me was the summer I spent with the Luke Commission, where I got exposed to A and B and C. And this is how that influenced me.
Yeah, totally. And now normally we're not too keen on round 3 admissions at elite business schools. Yeah. But we think Logan has a shot because there aren't a whole lot of people pre-med who have an experience that he had in South Korea and Swaziland applying, and he could fill one of those few empty seats.
Yeah, these are for schools that still have round 3.
Yeah.
Hey, if to our general audience, if you're thinking of applying round 3, the first thing you got to do is make sure your target school actually has a round 3.
And most do, other than Harvard.
Yeah, John, name a famous business school without a round 3, John.
Harvard.
Yes.
And the thing for round 3, if you're coming from consulting or finance, you're dead in the water. Okay, they're looking for those unusual gems to get to turn the wheels on the diversity of the class.
Well, either legal diversity or just diversity as it's generally understood, which is different backgrounds, different professions, different geographies. You check a lot of boxes there, different formal lives.
Definitely worth it. Go for a round 3 at Stanford. Don't miss out.
All right, you convinced me.
Really.
Well, here's a question for you, John. Let's say he got into Stanford and Harvard. What would you advise him?
I'd go to Stanford because of his entrepreneurial ambitions.
Really? Okay.
What does that mean?
I think there are more people interested in entrepreneurship, and there are more people interested in.
So it's a geography. It's a geography. It's a geography bet.
It's geography, but it's also the culture. You're going to be surrounded by more people who want to do their own thing than you would be at Harvard, where you're going to be drowned out by consultants and investment bankers and hedge fund managers and PE bound people.
Yeah.
And I think
I'd agree with Stanford, but just because you'll be in Silicon
Valley,
in Silicon Valley, where it's just everyone's starting a company.
Now I have a question about that, if it's all right, and I think a lot of people that watch might have the same question if they're deciding where they want to go. So I want to go into something with healthcare, medical devices, obviously. From what I understand, Boston is a better area for healthcare versus Silicon Valley. Do you think that really matters a lot in your experience, or what do you think?
I don't think you can make a mistake if you're admitted to either school.
Right, but
Fair.
to answer the question, I do a little homework. I do a little diligence, as our friends on Wall Street say. You can't go wrong, but you might look at the resources Harvard has for people interested in healthcare entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And they are considerable resources at Harvard. There's no doubt about it. I mean, look, I always compare Harvard to the United States in terms of nuclear weapons. Harvard has resources to wipe everyone else, all other competition off the map. Okay. So there is that.
Yeah.
Okay.
After we get that drum roll out of the way.
What's the one most important thing that Logan can do to shift the odds in his favor, given all the competition out there? What is the one thing? Because, you know, he's ringing the bells on a lot of stuff. So what's the one thing that could really make a difference for him?
Goal statement.
Really?
Goal statement.
Okay.
Well, it's the only thing that's up for grabs. I mean,
well, recommenders, maybe.
Well, who you go? Yeah, well, yeah, sure. But
how he shaped that essay, which you got into with, you know, what matters most and why.
Well, that's what I mean by goal statement. Your shtick, you're getting your shtick together. Your narrative is what you need to do. And I would suggest, I don't know what it was before this conversation, but I would suggest the do-gooder angle of, you know, building out on your work at the Loop Commission and having an impact, medical access, citing to heroes. These are people we don't have to necessarily know, but people you've met who've been inspirational in areas like access to medical care and serving marginalized communities, etc. So that's what you can do, is get your story to pack the most punch.
Yeah, and presumably this advice goes to you for the Stanford application, because I'm imagining that you've already applied to Harvard round 2 and to Wharton round 2, right?
I haven't done Wharton yet. I'm in the middle of filling out Wharton and MIT Sloan.
Okay, so that's good. That's good. Cool. Well, there you have it.
Check back for a mock interview, buddy.
Okay, so wait a minute. Sandy, what are his odds at Harvard? What are his odds at Wharton and MIT? And then what do you think his odds are at Stanford in round 3? We'll put him on the spot.
Yeah. I think your odds of getting an interview at Harvard are, wow.
70%?
John, there are a lot of amazing people who do not get into.
Don't build me up too much. I'll be very let down when it doesn't happen.
Sandy never goes above 50, and he rarely
40-50%.
He rarely goes there.
I've said this before, I'll say it again. At a certain point, HBS and Stanford is lottery-like. In other words, believe it or not, there are people like you, and there might be 5, and they're only admitting 2 or even 3. And the 2 people they reject are mighty accomplished people.
Yeah.
Also, if they ran the experiment over with the same 5 people, you might get different results. I'm not kidding.
No, that's really true. That's the subjective nature of.
I don't blame Harvard. It's just life, man.
Yeah.
There's no definite answer.
Yeah. Who will your application be read by? Who will ultimately interview you? How do they feel that day?
Okay, let's get to something useful here. Who are your recommenders? Can you prepare them?
Yeah, I actually, I mean, this is subjective because I have nothing to base off of, but I feel like I've got pretty strong letters. I got, both of them are from the startup that I worked for during my gap year before medical school. One was my direct supervisor, which I guess they recommend. And then the other one is a longtime friend from the Korean mission who I recruited to work at the company, is now the head of global enterprise. And they both had glowing reviews to say about me. So I think they really helped me out.
Did the startup guy, did he have an MBA himself?
I don't believe so. No, I believe he went straight into software.
Yeah, okay. Okay, those could be valuable. Sometimes, now I'm speaking to everybody, sometimes you have to train your recommenders. I say this every week and it's worth repeating. Recommenders have to be taught that within the world of recommendations, saying, I've been doing this for 40 years and I've known 50 guys like Logan, and Logan is in the top 5 of those guys, okay? That's like a lukewarm recommendation, okay? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The rhetoric is so super hot that a recommender really has to say, this guy is extraordinary. I believe he's going to be impactful. I believe he's going to change lives, and here are the reasons. That's what a recommendation has to sound like. John, you seem to be agreeing there.
I totally agree. It has to be over the top.
Yeah. And
in America, we're over the top on everything.
Right. Good. So I think your chances.
So you're saying 40 to 50% chance he gets an interview at Harvard. What are his chances of actually getting in? 35, 40.
Yeah. Well, right. You could. Some mathematician here could say, gee, if your chances of getting interviewed are 50%, and then of the 50%, your chances of getting in after being interviewed, boy, I forget that number. Do you know that, John? How many people?
Roughly, it's a little less than half, but it's pretty much close to half.
Yeah. So, gee, a mathematician might say your chances of getting into Harvard are, I don't know, 30, 25%, 30%.
Yeah.
You might go, boy, that strikes me as low, Sandy.
But remember, the admit rate is 11, 12%. So that's 3 times the average admit rate.
Yeah.
Think about
Harvard is just, it's a narrow door, and it's a bit of luck.
What about Stanford? Round 3?
You can do the same. Yeah, round 3, man. This guy is so Stanfordy.
20%, 25?
Yeah, 20, 30%. If you execute right with your recommenders and your Stanford essay, man, you are totally what they're looking for.
Okay, at 30%, that's 5 times their admit rate.
Yeah.
Logan, take the time, do it.
Okay, all right.
Oh, for Stanford, apply, man. Absolutely apply.
Yeah.
For one thing, you'll love it there.
Yeah, you really will. Okay.
Okay.
Totally. Any of these schools, you can't make a wrong decision for what your goal is. So you're definitely getting in to 1, 2, maybe all of them. Who knows? So good luck to you, Logan, and let us know how it all turns out.
Absolutely, I will. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay, good talking to you guys.
Sandy, thank you. And
Yeah,
for all of
adios and shalom here. Yeah. Vaya con Dios.
Thanks for watching. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You've been watching Fridays with Sandy.